So yesterday we finally got a tease for our next hunter coming in season 4 of Star Wars Hunters. There's not a whole lot to talk about, so I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can, but I wanted to run you guys through everything we know so far and what we can expect for the brand new hunter coming in the next season. If you guys are new to the channel and you're interested in more Star Wars Hunters content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There is plenty more on the way. I'll obviously be covering any news we get leading up to season 4, and there is plenty more planned once we actually get our hands on season 4 as well. Now, as you can see in the background, and I'm pretty much just going to play this on repeat, so apologies if that's a little bit boring, but it's really the only way I can actually show this new hunter off. And as you can see, this right here is Nox, the official new hunter of season 4. She is a damage hunter, and she is a female ZABRAK, which I'm sure you guys can tell, but for those who don't know, she is obviously the same species as Darth Maul. Now, the first thing that I noticed when watching this is that you can see she has the kind of like jet boosters on her feet, pretty similar to Cad Bane in the Clone Wars, which I think is a really cool touch, and I'm kind of wondering if that is a permanent thing and she can actually sort of fly around at all times. She may be that type of hunter who is like hovering around the map, so maybe she's not flying and she's super high in the air, but maybe she just doesn't really run around that much and she's more using her little jet boosters. If I had to guess though, I'd imagine it's probably more in line with how it is with Aaron Tull, where he's obviously got a jetpack too, but he can't just permanently fly around. So I'm going to assume that these are most likely like an actual ability of hers, or even just like if you double jump you can fly around for like 5 seconds or something like that. Either way, I think it looks pretty fun, and I'm very keen to see how it actually looks in terms of gameplay. Now, we can also see that she uses a bow similar to the Night Brothers, and this has actually got me thinking, I wonder if she is actually just a Night Brother, even though obviously she's female. Now, that might sound weird, but think of it in this way. In the US military, for example, there is obviously like the Marine Corps. That is just like a name of a group of soldiers, and you can be a male or female and be a Marine, just in the same way that maybe the Night Brothers is actually more of a name of the followers of the Night Sisters, because that's what the Night Brothers are. They are essentially their followers. And so as of this moment in time, we've always just seen the Night Brothers as almost like the male version of the Night Sisters, but it's kind of got me thinking maybe they aren't actually all male. Maybe they are just called the Night Brothers, but there are male and female ZABRAK in there. So I'm not too sure if that is actually how that's going to go or not. She might not be a Night Brother. She might just be literally a ZABRAK warrior. But yeah, it just had me thinking that she does look essentially the exact same as a Night Brother, but the fact she's female maybe throws a spanner in the works. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure time will tell. We're going to know within a few days if she is or isn't an actual Night Brother. Now, on top of the bow, we also see her throw a like purple gas grenade. I'm going to assume that this is some sort of like poisonous grenade. I think that would be pretty cool, but obviously it's impossible to tell as of right now. There were some rumors already floating around that the next hunter was going to be poisonous though, so yeah, if I had to guess, I'd imagine that is some sort of poisonous grenade, but again, we are just going to have to wait and see. Now, going back to the bow, I'm actually very interested to see how this bow plays out. I think it would be really cool, and obviously we just have no idea how it's going to work, but I think it would be really cool if you can have like multiple firing modes with this bow. So the regular fire mode, if you're just like tapping the trigger, would mean that you sort of rapid fire it, obviously not too quick because it's a bow and arrow, so you can't just like shoot it like an actual gun, but having it fire relatively fast but like for low damage could be its regular fire mode, I guess. But then if you were to hold in the trigger, for example, maybe that powers the bow up even further and it has like a higher damage shot, almost making her like a hybrid between a sniper, where you can play at long range if you want to and deal a bit of damage, or if people are up close you can also kind of rapid fire that bow. I think that would be really cool to see, but again, it's impossible to tell from this little teaser. That's just more speculation on my part. I don't know if that will happen, but if I was designing the hunter, I think that's how I would probably make that weapon work. Now, the last thing I wanted to touch on is just the name. Nox is a very ironic name because for those who didn't know, Nox is an emulator, which is essentially just an app can get on your PC, or a program, I guess. And the Nox emulator is essentially what most of us played the game on during the very early days of the soft launch. It was the only way really to play on PC, and it was also one of the few ways that you could bypass the region lock, because obviously it only launched in about 5 countries at first. And so one of the better ways to get around that was using the Nox emulator to kind of like change your location and stuff like that. So I am pretty certain the developers would know about that. They would have seen content on the game from all of the creators, and all of us were pretty much mentioning that we were using Nox. And so I'm actually curious if they have called this hunter Nox as almost a little nod to you know, the actual Nox emulator, and more the fact that the community just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to play this game on the PC. I think that's pretty interesting to think about. I don't know if that's true, if I'm just looking into that too much. The name Nox does also make sense for the fact that she's using a bow and arrow. For those who don't know, a nock is kind of like the part of the arrow at, I guess, the opposite end of the tip, and it's where you kind of, it's like the attachment point between the arrow and the bowstring where you draw it back. So nock and Nox, it also kind of makes sense just for the character, but I definitely think there is a little bit more to that. I think that might be potentially a little nod to pretty much the entire community using the Nox emulator way back in like 2021 and 2022, because that is essentially how, like, every creator you guys watch, whether it's me or other creators out there, we all use Nox. And yeah, I think that is, whether it's intentional or not, I think that's a really cool little nod to kind of the origins of the game. But that is pretty much it for everything we really know. Obviously, it's only a short little teaser, so there's not that much to gather from it. Most of this was just kind of like speculation and my thoughts on it, but I'm definitely very keen to get my hands on Nox. She's dropping on the 26th, so only about 5 or so days away now, and she will once again be a part of the Arena Pass, but we don't really know too much else about the season. Now, I will do a video next week once we know more about the season, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then obviously once she drops alongside all the other stuff in the season, there is going to be a lot of content right here on the channel, so keep your eyes peeled. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the force be with you always.